So right now I'm just coming to visit Lynn. Wonder what she's doing.
Hi. Hi, Marla.
Hello.
You just caught me looking at my book, Tabasco, the Saucy Raccoon, and this is written. And I was thinking, as it's Halloween, I would read a part from it about Halloween, because I used to take Tabasco, the raccoon, when I lived in the Okanagan for Halloween. But I looked back to 40 years ago when I had this raccoon, and here I put a picture on the screen of me about 40 years ago. I'm writing this book at a typewriter instead of a computer. I think it's about 40 years ago. It was when I was going to Simon Fraser University, getting a couple of degrees, and I was living in a no-pet apartment with this raccoon, smuggling it up 3 flights of stairs every day and taking it to the university. And actually Tabasco was the mascot of the English department. So here it is in my apartment on the 3rd floor at the bottom of Simon Fraser Hill, and writing this very book. Now, it has a sad ending. I'm not going to tell you what the ending is, because you got to read the book to find it out. But I was reading it last night and looking for the Halloween section, and it was pretty emotional. But I didn't want to write it. I didn't want to publish it 30 or 40 years ago. So it wasn't until I came to here in Lansville 20-something years ago that I actually wrote it. Not wrote it, but published it, got it published. So that's Tabasco. So we've got a couple of other pictures that you might like to see. And here, and I don't have a raccoon, but I do have a cat. And the cat is a feral cat. And you might like to take a close-up of the cat's expression. It's sleeping beside me every day. Cats sleep for about 8 hours. And this cat is, I call it Meow. I'm not very good at making up names for animals, you know, like Tom the cougar and Sam the seal and Rocky raccoon and Tabasco. Well, Tabasco's a bit different. So I call it Meow. Oh, I don't want to talk it, say Meow, because she'll probably wake up, because that's her name, is Meow. So she comes and sleeps with me every day. She actually comes up every day and sits on the computer. And I've got shots of her sitting on the computer you might like to take with you. But she now comes and she licks my face, and I say, look, I have to do some work. I have to. So she'll just go over there, she'll walk right across the keys, and she'll stay there. So that's now her favourite place. She sleeps there about 8 hours a day, and she'll be sleeping there at about midnight tonight when I'm still here. When I came here to Lansville, I've got some pictures in the kitchen to show you of the first raccoon that actually I saw. And it came, I'll tell you that adventure when I'm in the kitchen maybe, or you can see some pictures here on the screen. Which would you like?
Well, I would like to go into your kitchen and see the pictures there.
It'd be different, I think so too. And we'll leave the cat, I call it Meow, in its place, in her place. That cat is it's a feral cat. It just came in from I don't know where, and it's only got half a tail. And it's not a Manx cat. So something happened to that cat, that somebody chopped its tail off.
Oh no.
So you don't touch it down there, or it will bite you and snarl at you. In fact, you don't tell that cat what to do at all.
Okay.
Cats are very independent. I had a girlfriend here, my publisher, the other day, and she went to move it from that chair. Wow, he went like that. So that cat is a very independent by itself and lived by itself for a long time. But having a yawn. Well, we were going to talk about raccoons today, weren't we? And I'm going to go into the kitchen where I've got some pictures of the first raccoon. And if they don't work, you can see them on the screen later. I might have even sent them to you. But this was the scene though. This is my kitchen. So it was my first Halloween here, and those memories came back today as well, because I was sitting at this desk. It's becoming a desk. Every part of my house is becoming an office or a desk, and not a house. And I was sitting here writing a diary. I write a diary every day, and I looked around and there is a raccoon biting a hole through my new screen door. Now most people, your mother probably would say, shoo, get out of it, my new screen door, you can't bite a hole in it. Not me. I got my camera and I sat down here and I took a picture of this raccoon, wild raccoon, first one I've seen here in Lanceville. I took a picture and I saw it make a big hole, and then it came through the hole into the kitchen. I'm only sitting a few feet away, click, click, and it stole the cat dish. I think it might have been a bit smaller, and it went through the hole with the cat dish in its mouth. I mean, amazing. So at that point, I got up and I followed it outside. So it dropped the dish and off it went into the bush. I did get a few pictures. I'll put them here, up here. So here's the cat shoe. This is this wild raccoon just arrived in Lanceville. That's about 20 years ago, and the raccoon is chewing. They've got wonderful teeth. You just don't want the raccoon's teeth on you. And then it makes this big hole in the new screen door. I had to buy a new one the following day. That's about 3 days running two new doors. And then it grabbed the cat dish. It was a light one, not the one I showed you. And then here's it coming into the door, grabbing the cat dish, and then bringing the cat dish through the hole. So I think that was pretty amazing. And other people were, I'm a little bit different, I think, because I think, oh, story. And here we are, how many years later? 20 years later, and I'm telling it to you on your movie. Okay, well, let's, I want to take you into the living room because that's where the cat sleeps, and it's surrounded by a bunch of raccoon stuff. So the raccoon doesn't sleep alone. I mean, the cat doesn't sleep alone. It does sleep with me part of the night. But it often sleeps in there with all these raccoon not pictures. Oh, let's go and look at them. So, come into the living room. So, I put a few pictures of Tabasco and my life with Tabasco on some posters here. And I'm sort of tell you a couple of stories about them. Now, raccoons are noted for making a mess. Typical mess. Tabasco used to be in my office every day, and we were sitting there at the office, and when it wasn't sleeping, it was getting into the garbage can and it was making a mess. Raccoons really make messes. So but it was easy to clean up. You know, just at the end of the day, I would just pick everything up, put it back in the garbage can. Next morning, a mess again. Who cares? Raccoons are worth it. So, and on the Tabasco loved bathrooms, and I'm going to read you a story about what she did on Hallowe'en bathroom. However, here she is with her head in the toilet. I only had one animal that actually went to the toilet like we use the toilet, and that was a hyrax from Africa. That's another story. Raccoons are always getting into everything. Here she is getting into my bag. There she is getting into my desk. She was in something when I was carrying her across. This book begins with carrying her across on 17 airplane flights in Canada, and so on those 17 airplane flights, that's how she was there and in my backpack. And here the kids used to call her Dr. Goes into the dentist because she's always getting into people's mouths. And when my parents came, I had to be away on a tour somewhere, and then my parents came to look after the raccoon. And so she's telling Dad, he comes from Australia. They don't have raccoons in Australia. Where's Lynn? Where's she gone? Where's Mum? Where's she gone? So I used to get these, that's all in the book. I used to get these notes from my dad about, he would send letters to me. Well, the raccoon did this today. What am I to do? Da 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 da. And she got into Mum's macrame as well. So in the weekends, when we used to drive, there is, she's in the, she sleeps like this. Sometimes a cat sleeps like that as well. And in the weekends, I lived at the bottom of Simon Fraser Hill, So I would go to the lakes that are east of Burnaby, and here's one. I've forgotten which lake it was, east of Burnaby. But I'm walking along, and people are saying, "There's a raccoon following you. Did you know that?" Yeah, that's good. I'm glad Tabasco's following me. And if I went for a swim, she'd come in and swim on my head. She would go dive in, swim after me, and she would sit on my head while I'm swimming and try to drown me, or at least it felt like that to me. But here she is. We're walking along a lake just east of Vancouver, and a horse comes along. Now the horse stopped by itself, not because the rider said we're going to stop, because he had never seen a raccoon with a human before, doing human-like stuff, and she'd never seen a horse before. So I'm just imagining what could be the story of the conversation that they had. So when I go into schools, I would show a picture like that, and then I would ask the kids to write what they think the situation would be, what would be the conversation. But that was a really, was a really astonished horse. And then we went skiing, and she would take her own route. She wouldn't be following our route. She would be taking her own route, and then she would go off, and we'd have to follow her. So this Tabasco's got a lot of stories in this book, and I really relived them last night when I read it. This is where the cat sits here with all these raccoons around him. She goes to sleep. It's Halloween, so I'm going to read a story of Tabasco at Halloween. Now, I was in the Okanagan. After I left school, I went to the Okanagan and lived in an orchard. Then Tabasco made havoc within the orchard, and this is the first Halloween that we had there. On Halloween, Tabasco and I went trick-or-treating with our neighbour Anne's son, Lorne. The raccoon had no need to disguise himself. He wore his own mask naturally. Well, not quite a Halloween one at that point. He didn't have to wear it. He was a bandit by himself. But Lorne came dressed as a Frankenstein monster. When we went to pick him up in the car, Tabasco saw Lorne in his flowing black robes and gargoyle-toothed mask come running towards the car, and he immediately fled under the car seat. For a long time, not even candy would draw him out. He was also scared of big fat jack-o'-lanterns with candles inside them. And this was surprising, because in a house he was always looking for boxes of matches, pouches of tobacco, packets of cigarettes, and pipe cleaners. I was living with a man who smoked a pipe, Jack. Lorne had collected quite a few boxes of goodies before Tabasco emerged from his hiding place in the car, under the car seat, and he ventured out, and finally Tabasco did venture out to go trick-or-treating. Both the boy and the raccoon went up to a door together. And then, surprisingly, it wasn't the candies or the apples that the raccoon was interested in, but the house itself. As soon as the door was opened, the raccoon scuttled inside through the door and instinctively made for the bathroom. He dragged the toilet roll to the toilet, dunked it in, and turned on the taps. People would be left standing on their doorsteps with their bags and their mouths wide open while Frankenstein chased the masked bandit inside the house. And they had no chance to choose a treat over a treat. That was just his first Halloween. So I wonder if I'll see if on this Halloween I'll be able to be visited by a raccoon. Wouldn't that be neat? Just like I was the first day that I was in this house. Tabasco, the really saucy raccoon.